How are you?
Excellent.
Thank you very much. I was going to say, hi guys, welcome back to Naked Security Live. I'm Harry as always, joined by Duck.
Hello folks.
As always, please leave your questions in the comments section below.
Yes.
I got it right this time.
Comment your questions, don't question your comments.
Don't question the comments. And if we don't get around to answer them live, I'm sure we'll get to do it after we do this live stream. So Duck, kicking it off, a very, very recent article. We've literally posted it about 30 minutes ago, an hour ago, a article about phishing, SMS, texts.
Phishing on a mobile phone rather than phishing via email.
Exactly.
And you have in the story, I wrote, one of our colleagues received this message, so it was a genuine in the wild thing that happened to us. Yeah. But actually, what I didn't say in the article, because I hadn't asked you yet, it was you, wasn't it?
It wasn't me.
Yeah. So you got it on your work phone, the rest of us didn't. So obviously somehow your number was on the list and ours wasn't.
Yeah, I was on the blacklist apparently, so I must have done something wrong. It just goes to show, isn't it? It's not obviously just email. And it was basically telling me to update my billing information for the provider of EE, even though my work phone is with Vodafone and my personal phone is with 3. So they had a 1 in 4
3
chance.
is regretting that name. Now we're on 5G. But
true. 3G. So it just goes to show that they've just clearly tried to pick one of the 4 and see if they can do anything.
In fact, I took the screenshot of your thing and I masked out the actual URL. So that's what it looks like. That's what Harry received, folks. And as you can see, the crooks. It's as though the crooks have learned that when it comes to phishing, they don't need to use email. In fact, we've done recent Naked Security Lives and written recent articles about Instagram scams, where they're trying to get hold either of your Instagram password or of your mobile network password, because those have real value to crooks as well as your bank account password and your email password. And this time they're figuring, why not use SMS? And I think the reason that they haven't left SMS behind, even though it's a minority vehicle for scamming, is that it's the one messaging service that everybody who has a phone has access to. Whether you've got a smartphone, a feature phone, an old phone, a new phone, an Android or iOS, a $5 phone that you got from years ago. The one service that everyone has access to is SMS. Yeah. And if you think about it, if you're not a regular SMS user yourself, well, at least in the UK, in my opinion, the most likely, certainly that's how I experience it, the most likely company that I will get an SMS from is my mobile provider. For the simple reason that it's my account, they know I've got an account, and they know whichever phone I've got my SIM in, they'll be able to get hold of me via SMS. Doesn't matter what email address I've given them, they don't have to phone me up and hope that I'll answer. They know my number because they gave it to me. Yeah. So SMS is a pretty standard vehicle, and for example, if you have a prepaid account in the UK, either a private one, you manage it by sending an SMS to a special number that says, what's my balance, here's my voucher, I want to add some credit, I want to swap data for voice, etc., etc. Yeah. So I don't use SMS really to communicate with other people much anymore, but I use it to communicate with my mobile phone.
With your provider,
And I guess the crooks just figured, okay, well, we'll pick EE, which is one of the big 4 networks behind they're the network behind a lot of other virtual network providers. Yeah. So, for example, I think if you have an Asda supermarket SIM, I think that comes through EE's network. There are many others. Right. Then what that means is that there are actually loads of people who are on EE. It's as good a guess as any. Yeah. And so they just figured, okay, we'll spam this out. It doesn't cost us that much more to spam 1,000 or 100,000 people as it does to do 10,000.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, just like doing it in a mass kind of way and just hoping for the best.
And they don't need that URL to work for long, because they're not really. If they spam 1 million people, they're not after 1 million passwords. They might need 1 or 3 or 12 or 124. They just want some accounts that they can go in and use for the next wave of criminal mischief. So they don't need to get every single person's account to try and take $10 from each person. For all we know, what these crooks want is they just want some accounts so they can start a new wave of crime, i.e. messaging your friends from your account in a way that looks legitimate, just like we saw with Instagram.
Exactly.
Because you need comparatively few accounts to have a big fan-out effect. And when it comes to doing the initial spamming, most of the big providers in the UK these days, because SMS is a kind of minority thing these days, but everyone likes to have it in reserve, the home plan I'm on, basically, as long as I spend at least £10 a month, I get as many texts as I want. So you can just go into a shop, buy a SIM, stick it in a phone, and until you get cut off, which might take a day before you get the complaints, you can actually use SMS spam to your heart's content. And you can reach a significant number of people. Obviously, they weren't trying to target everyone in the UK. You got it. The rest of us at work who are also on Vodafone did not get it. And by the way, that if the crooks had wanted to, they could have used the first few digits of the phone number to figure out who the network provider is. So they could have actually been a bit more subtle if they wanted. They probably, either they were lazy or they didn't realise you could do that, in which case, oh dear, I just told them.
I was going to say giving out tips to
Or,
hackers.
most likely, what I think is they just figured, okay, let's pick one network and just go with that. Let's keep it simple because... I mean, you said you've got two networks, one at work, one at home. So if they just happen to pick neither of the two of the four networks...
They got very unlucky, thankfully.
If I got one that was for my other network, I might just go, oh yeah, I use them, and oh, hang on, whoa, I'm on the other phone. I don't... It's easy to confuse it, particularly if you've got a dual SIM phone.
Yes, definitely.
And you're swapping, like I have at home, and I can swap between two different networks on the same device. So it's easy to confuse them. So it just goes to show that the old school attacks work really well. And I think the fact that SMSs are, by their very design, short, sharp, and simple, does make it really easy for the crooks. They can just use simple phrases and be believable.
And that's what I was going to say, is that's the difference between obviously SMS and email and things like that. It's short and snappy, which in sometimes, because they're more to the point, it's more believable, I think. Do you agree with that?
It just means that you only need a short phrase. People don't expect you. When you get legitimate SMSs, like say from a parcel delivery company, they're usually quite staccato, aren't they? They don't put this and the and please and hello and how are you and all the greetings that you expect in an email. It's just courier en route, expect delivery 13:15. And so it's much easier to get the words right if you don't have to, get the little bits and sort of grace notes, if you like, of the English language correct. And people are much more forgiving of the fact that it doesn't quite read like real English. It reads like SMS English. Also, it's quite common that when you... in fact, I had one recently from a courier, an actual email from a courier company for a delivery, and they use short SMS friendly messages that just have a URL shortener and then / say 5 letters mixed case. So people are used to the idea that if they're looking at the link, it's not absolutely clear what it's all about, but on most phones, if you click the link, it actually jumps you into your full powered browser. So you leave the basic SMS messaging software, and suddenly you're in the big bad world of email scam, just like that. So I can see why the crooks do it. And it's important to remember that SMSs can be just as dangerous as emails if they're asking you to do something, particularly if they're asking you to log in, like they were with you.
And literally that's what I was going to come on to, is features where it's telling you to do stuff. What is the specific things that you should be, looking out for? What's the code reds if you receive a text like this? Do you think?
I guess the deal here is obviously there are some subtle linguistic hints. If you're a native English speaker, there are a couple of things the crooks didn't get right, but you might not notice that. You might, if English is your second language, even if you're living in the UK, you might not notice, or you might just say, oh, they've just shortened it to fit the message. The URL's obviously wrong. It was e.co.uk dot something else, not e.co.uk / something else, but it's still pretty decent. And when you click through onto the link in a mobile browser, then you only see the tiny little bit of the URL. So we call that left stuffing. You take the domain name or the company name that you want to represent, like www.sophos.com or whatever, and you stuff that at the left-hand end of a much longer domain name. And if people only see the beginning, it kind of looks quite comfortable. They see what they hope to, and of course. These guys, the site that they were using came from a cloud-based hosting company that provide you, here's a basic web service ready to go that you sign up for, so it won't be very expensive. They don't need it for a long time. And so you've got a web server handed to you with an HTTPS certificate ready to go. So when you go there, you do get the padlock like you'd expect. So the old school things that people used to look out for, oh, the crooks will never have a padlock. Actually, these days, in almost all cases, they do. So what to look out for, if they do make a mistake, they might not, but if they do, make sure that you don't lose that opportunity to go, wow, they've screwed up, and avoid the email.
Of course.
And I guess the other thing here is if you get a message saying, hi, this is EE, Vodafone, whatever the service provider is, there is a billing problem. Don't log in from a link in an email, an Instagram message, a Facebook message, Twitter DM,
definitely.
SMS.
Definitely.
If there is a billing problem with your EE network, for example, then you should know how to get onto EE's page. So my recommendation, what we put in the article, is either use a bookmark that you prepared earlier yourself, maybe that you typed in off an invoice or something so you know it's correct, or use a password manager, even better, because A, that will generate a good password, and B, it ties the password to a specific URL. So when the crooks take you to their fake site and you go to your password manager, please put in the password, it goes, what password? I don't have a password for that site, it's not on the list. And then you go, aha, it's spotted what I missed. So that's the main thing is when it comes to logging in, don't log in from a link that somebody else gave you because they can send you anywhere else. In just the same way that we recommend to people, if you get a phone call from one of those fake support scammers, oh, there's a problem with your broadband, or you're about to get cut off from the internet, you've got a virus and Microsoft told us to call you, blah, 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 you know, that careworn story that still makes loads of money. Basically, if they give you a number and you think, okay, well, I'll test them out, I'll phone it back and see if I do get through to Microsoft or whatever. When you phone that number, they gave you the number, they'll be waiting and they'll answer it just how you expect. So the same with your bank. Someone phones up, oh, I'm from the bank, there might be fraud, blah, 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 blah. Put the phone down, look on the back of your credit card, there'll be an emergency line, phone that instead, and then you know you're getting through to something that wasn't influenced by a third party. So that's my recommendation here is there might not be hints in the SMS because it's so short and sharp and sweet. But follow your nose, and if there is a need to log in to check something, use a safer way of getting there, one you prepared earlier, based on your own sort of operational intelligence.
Definitely. We've also had a hi from Ray in the chat, and also Teresa as well, Teresa. Saying the information is informative as usual. Thanks, keep up the good work. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
So perhaps, Harry, I can just to give you an idea that the reason why you need to be cautious. Let me just get back.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Oh, I put my phone upside down. So okay. The reason that you can't just go, oh, well, I'll spot this because the website won't be quite good enough is, let me show you that. I hope you can all see it. That is EE's genuine login page. If you've got that in your bookmark, that's where you'd go where you wanted to log in. And now, let me
that's perfect.
Keep that in mind, and let me show you. Here's the one that the crooks prepared. And I've masked out the URL that they used. I hope I've got that at the same distance. You should see it is as good as identical. In fact, any visual differences in blurriness or exact text that you see probably comes from the fact that with one I used regular Firefox, and with the crooks one I used the Tor browser as a way of not showing my hand immediately to you. So I use slightly different browser versions to visit the sites. The reason they look the same is not that the crooks have taken great care to kind of like paint a fraudulent artwork or do a forgery. They've basically just gone to EE's site. You could do this with pretty much any brand. Taken all the JavaScript, the style sheets, the HTML, everything they need, all the images, and just cloned them onto their site. And so their site looks identical. Now, they haven't cloned the whole site. So if you click on some of the links, it just loops you back to the password page. Whereas if you did that on EE's site, it would take you to things like privacy policies or advertising material or buy new stuff or how to contact the company. So, but don't do that as a way of, oh, the site's fraudulent because the links don't work properly, because then you're actually messing around on a crooked site. The problem is the site will typically, apart from the URL, look spot on, because it is spot on, because the crooks will clone it the day before they're about to do the attack. So even if the site has recent news on it, some sites do that so that they're ever changing. Unfortunately, the smarter crooks actually keep up even with that. So the address bar is your friend, and on a mobile device, you may actually need to click in the address bar and hold it to see the whole URL, because the crooks are relying on you just seeing the first few characters, which will typically have the word like Visa or MasterCard. They'll have the words you want to see, DHL, whatever it is.
The things to draw you in, isn't it?
End, you see it, you think, oh, well, it must be a legit URL. But in fact, what happens is it then goes off into somewhere else.
Tangent or something else, We've also had another comment as well from a fellow Harold, even though I'm not technically a Harold, but it's close enough. They said, oh yeah, hi, learnt lots of tricks from Sophos. You guys were the first for the security folk, lacking on social media. Everyone else is lacking on social media. You are number one.
Well,
thank you very much.
Let's just say we're very happy to hear that. Thanks for your kind words.
Cool. Okay.
I can't say, oh, of course we agree, because we would say that.
Yeah,
it's very nice to hear that the information that we give out is useful.
Yeah.
Our idea is, obviously, we want you to think good things about Sophos, so there is a kind of marketing or a branding aspect for Sophos, but it is basically altruistic in that we want the community as a whole to get better.
Exactly.
And my analogy is that when people talk about raising the bar in security, yes, technology companies like ours, we can raise the bar enormously in one area, say by doing something fantastically new with machine learning or integrating our threat protection in this way or that way or the other way. But there's also the sense that raising the bar like you do, say in high jump, where when you raise it at one end, it goes up even a tiny bit all the way along.
Yeah.
And that way, to be honest, the investment we make with Naked Security in the community is that if we can help you and your mum and your kids and
your grandma,
your boss,
and your boss,
even better, do cybersecurity a little bit better. To be honest, that doesn't just help everybody else, you and everybody else, it really helps us because it helps us to focus on dealing with the crooks instead of having to explain the same things over and over again. We've got more people on our side.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, well, I've pretty much gone through everything. I don't know if you have anything else to say. I think we gave some good advice there.
And don't forget, it is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Yes.
I've done a couple of talks lately, and I've asked people, I said, who knew? And, in a full room, you'll get 1.5 hands go up. So we're not very aware of it being Cybersecurity Awareness Month.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, because at the end of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, it doesn't mean we can become unaware.
Yeah,
but
of course.
On @NakedSecurity, our Twitter feed, we've been doing daily poems and limericks where we're trying to take a light-hearted view at that. Yeah. And we've got one about phishing that was done in the last week, how to protect yourself, how not to let your guard down. Do go and have a look on @NakedSecurity and see if you can find those. It's a little bit of fun that might help you evangelize to your friends and family without sounding like you're getting on a high horse and boring them to bits. That's our hope anyway.
Yeah.
So be careful out there, folks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Until next time.
Stay secure.
Stay secure.
Round it goes. You see how the finish button's much